wait for, a couple people to join us, and then we'll get rolling as the thousands join us.
Right on. One day there will be, right?
There will be.
There will be.
Hey, it's growing. I mean,
Yeah.
the views and people downloading the podcast when I put it
Yeah.
up on Monday, and I'm getting more people talking to me about
It's
it.
very
Awesome.
exciting.
It is very
Thank
exciting.
you, everybody that's
It's been
watching
very, very
and
cool.
sharing. And we got a lot of cool info to get out there in the world.
Yep. So we go about 30 minutes, Stephen, in case you didn't know. And, we're just going to have some fun and hopefully some laughs and, most importantly, change lives.
Right
Yes.
on. Right on.
All right. So you go by Steve or Steven, or does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Good Health by Claudia podcast with me, Denny Schaefer, a production of Denny Radio. It's episode 14. Woo! Our guest is Stephen Harkins. He's a national educator for North American Herb and Spice Company. And today we're talking oregano oil. Stephen,
Yay.
welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Denny and Claudia.
So how's
Pleasure
a
to be
guy
here.
who was studying computer science degree going into, and now you're in 35 years or whatever in the wellness industry? How does that happen?
Yeah, it's a good question. It was a dumb decision for me to go and try to do computers because I'm just not that guy. I was reading a report about how much money you can make and the job security, the expected to grow in this market. And I thought, wow, this could be a really good thing for me. And it just wasn't where my heart was or my passion. I got into the first class. It was a programming class. And they said, how many of you know how to build a computer from scratch? And everybody raised their hands except for me. How many of you have written lines of code before? Everybody raised their hands except for me. And that's kind of when I realized that maybe this isn't for me. And I had a lot of family members that have been sick ever since I was young. And it just really just kept going. It's still going. And I've seen so many diseases and cancers and things you wouldn't believe just with my own family. And I started to ask questions of why do they have to die at 50 years old? Why does this have to happen? And what's causing this? And this isn't normal. And nobody could give me a good answer. They just kind of said, well, they just got it. It happens. And I got curious. I started doing research. And, once you start, it just you start following the breadcrumbs and it starts leading you into, here it's where it's led us to. So, yeah. And I hear a lot of the same stories with people in this industry too.
Yes.
Well, that's why this is so important, because we have experts on like you. And of course, Claudia is a walking encyclopedia, and we get this vital information out. Now, people that are watching on Facebook, and like I do on Mondays, I take the audio and I turn it into a podcast. So if you can't catch all of it today, you can always download the podcast so you can take it wherever you want to go. So I'll put that up on Monday. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section and we'll get to them as we can. So we're talking about oregano oil. Claudia, where would you like to start?
Well, Stephen, I think it's always wonderful to begin why this particular type of oregano is so active and important, and really it's kind of special. There's many strains, correct?
Yes. And people who are kind of unfamiliar with this world are kind of like, what's the big deal? I can put oregano on my pizza. I put it on my spaghetti last night. Put it on my meatballs. What's the big deal? And when you start to learn what's going on here, I found out when I came in the company that there's over 80 different species of oregano in the world.
Oregano. Yeah.
And that's just oregano. And so it depends on what part of the world you go to. And it really makes a difference, because when you start looking at the profiles, some are good for food and some are good for recovery and working on the body and supporting the immune system. And that's the one that we've found. And it all started 30 years ago in a search for something that could help Miss Judy, the owner of the company. She had a friend and a husband that were very ill, and vitamin C and garlic wasn't working. And so they needed something a little more potent. And she had a friend in Turkey who said, you know what, we have this, I have a partnership or a friendship with some villagers in the remote mountains of Turkey. where there are a few different strains and Mediterranean oregano strains that grow out there on the rocks in the wild, no farming at all. And, you know, you should check it out. So they sent her bottles. They sent her a bunch of the dry herb, and they sent the oil. And this stuff it'll knock your socks off. Anyone who's ever smelled it, anyone who's ever tasted it, anyone who's ever tried it, this is not the oregano you put on. Of course, it's much more concentrated too. That's the big thing and that goes to the strength.
So let me just ask the basic, easy question from somebody who is pretty much clueless. What does oregano do for your body? Does your body need oregano? Does it generate oregano? Help me understand that before we talk about all these fantastic products.
Great question. So yeah, what's in it for me? And well, oregano itself. Now, I'm not talking about our product. I'm just talking about if you Google oregano scholar, you're going to see it. There's many studies that mention fungus, bacteria, and virus, and its actions on those things. It's desirable action on those things. If you catch my drift, it supports the immune systems. The immune system's job for you and for me is to be essentially our military of the body. Right. So if we come across any kind of pathogenic situation, our immune system is supposed to put up a fight for us. And what certain herbs that work on fungus, if you have fungus, virus, and bacteria support, that's kind of the trifecta. Right. And that's the beautiful thing about oregano is, you know, unlike an antibiotic, which by the way, it is a natural antibiotic like garlic, but stronger. It'll help you recover and recover faster. Moreover, another aspect of the studies point to its antioxidant value. And for those of you who have heard the word but don't really have the full understanding, antioxidant is essentially a good thing. You don't want oxidation in the body. That oxidation is a wearing away, a rusting away, a decay, inflammation buildup. And so inflammation being the root cause of all diseases, right? Yeah. And you think of a car that's rusting, that's got that red rust, or you think of an apple that's been left out and it starts to get brown and decay. Antioxidants basically slow that down. It's also been called anti-aging is another word for antioxidants. Right. So that oregano oil can be put on your skin and help your skin be glowing and be healthy and avoid wrinkles. But internally, it protects the organs because your cells, it protects your cells, your tissues, and your organs. And they've done studies on the antioxidants and how they help things like kidney, gallbladder, liver, heart. And so it's protective of your entire body, I guess you could say, oregano.
I always encourage everybody to go to PubMed and check out any herb and see how much research has been done. And so, because, you know, we always hear in our industry, oh, there's no research done on all those herbs, and there's a lot. So there's three main chemical activities within this oregano plant, and this particular strain that they use from the mountains of Turkey has been tested to show it has some of the highest activity of these three chemical components. Yes. So I looked up today, I went to PubMed before I got here, carvacrol, which is the known to be yes, the antibacterial activity within this plant. There were over 2,600 research articles on that alone.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. When I looked at thymol, which is mainly the antifungal properties of that plant, there were over 4,600 research pieces. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff. And then you've got, how do you say the other rosmarinic? Marinic acid. That's the antioxidant properties of the plant. There were over 2,500 research articles on that alone. So this is a highly, highly studied plant, and it should be, because over the years we've witnessed it help thousands of people.
Yeah, and so a lot of the common things that people go through in life, you know, like allergies, trouble breathing, digestive complaints, like food poisoning, because most of our food comes from the same places. And so people are getting this E. coli and this salmonella or whatever it is, listeria, in their foods. You know, I have personally had had a meal, we all have, and you start to feel upset stomach, and grab that bottle of oregano, and it literally has saved me from sitting on the toilet the next day and still making it to work. And these are just practical. And then also inflammation support big time, because inflammation does not discriminate. It comes for everyone. Doesn't matter if
Yes.
you're young, old, what your political preferences or anything, you're going to get pain. And you can rub it topically, like on your knee if you got knee pain. We've had people with gout get topical relief. They've compared the topical pain supporting effects of oregano oil to topical morphine in some studies, which is fantastic because it's just an herb and there's no side effects with oregano.
Well, there's positive side effects. There's no
Yeah,
adverse.
no adverse. Yes.
So we're going to show a couple products. These are the capsules, the soft gel caps, and we've got the oil. So these are both the same potency, correct? With
Yes.
of the oil and the capsule,
Yep.
but
Just how you like to take it.
right.
Topical for the oil. It's kind of, I like the oil because you can go inside and out.
Yes.
And if you don't want to taste it, because it is aggressive. But what's interesting is if you start taking it after a while, your body kind of likes it.
It
Have you experienced?
yes. Oh
Yeah, you
yeah,
kind of get
absolutely.
used
And I've taken a lot of oregano over the years, especially over the last 3. And it's, so it's a
Wait
wonderful.
a minute. 2 drops under the tongue?
So here's the thing. This is what I want to say, and I'm glad you brought that up. It's very, very powerful stuff. So when we first start someone on it, we literally tell them 1 or 2 drops, not dropper.
Just
Drops.
drops under the tongue.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you put it in a little water, chug it down. Remember, it's highly antifungal. Next week, we're going to talk about fungal overgrowth.
Sweet.
Because there's so many people, I really believe it's epidemic in the United States. I mean, most things are ultimately at the underlying problem often is a fungal issue. So at any rate, we start very, very minimal. If you ever start the capsules, you're starting one capsule and you work up from there.
Okay.
So they're very powerful. And again, especially with the oil, you want to chug a little clean water with, good
Yeah,
water.
I always tell people the trick is, under the tongue, it doesn't touch your taste buds, so you don't taste it by doing that. And then you take the water and you kind of swallow at the same time.
Yes.
And you can also put a few drops or a couple of drops in the tomato juice. Tomato juice is one of the best things that just, you think about it, spaghetti, oregano, it kind of just mixes very well with the acidity there. So it's
right. Right. So these are both wonderful. Some people do them short term, maybe a month or 2. Some people stay on them longer.
It's not something you're going to take daily every day for,
Well, I've taken it daily for years because we're, at the store, we have so many sick people that walk through the doors, which we're very grateful they come to us. But at any rate, most people, you take it shorter term. I don't know. Some people do it 2 months, 3 months at a time. You can rotate it.
I'd like to address that because if you go on the internet, there's a lot of things that will tell you don't take it daily, take it 2 to 4 weeks when you're not feeling well, and then cycle off. Because our oregano is completely different in that it does come from the mountains. It is wild. We're using a 4-species blend, and we've got just the right amount of olive oil carrier that it's safe. We're the only brand. There's a lot of oregano brands now. We were kind of the only one at first 30 years ago.
Right.
They say you got to cycle off 2 to 4 weeks. We say you can take it every single day, 365 days a year. And this is a maintenance kind of concept. Like you're feeling good. Your immune system works. Let's keep it that way.
Right.
And this is just a low dose, 2 drops, 1 capsule, like Claudia was saying. And of course, if you get something, like I was dealing with a sinus thing that a couple weeks ago that was trying to rise up on me, I took more to kind of push that down. And I was able to actually keep going to work and not have a full-blown infection from that.
So it's so you can take more, but you always want to start, we always teach people, start low.
Yes, always.
Listen how your body's responding, get a feel for it, and then increase as you need it. And that's why we're literally teaching people the tools. These are the tools to empower our defense systems, which, you know, Stephen called the military. So the more we give the tools for the immune system to defend us, it certainly will. You mentioned that it's in olive oil. That's important because not all oregano oils are in not all of them use olive oil as a carrier. But I do want to point out this particular one. I grabbed this one.
Super strength.
Super strength. So what this means is per capsule, and you guys all also make a liquid. I didn't bring it today, but there's less of the carrier oil. So there's more activity within the product. So we always start with the original, and then if somebody chooses to move into the super strength, you can do that. Now you mentioned, I think I just dropped something. I did. Stephen, you mentioned sinus, and I brought this. This is the sinus spray. It's got
Yes.
the applicator. A lot
Powerful stuff.
people love this product. People that have sinus
That's me.
issues, they love this product. And
Yeah.
of course you do it. Is this what you used, or did you use the other,
I use that. I kind of like to use it all. You know, I
Yeah.
use the Sinuorega and I use the oregano oil super strength. And the Sinuorega is very interesting because everyone's heard of the nasal wash. We're all familiar with that concept.
Yes.
Nothing new with nasal washes, but what this is spice oils like the oregano, clove bud, bay leaf, and sage with sea salt and water, and that's it. You know, there's no like funny names in there, and it's not,
Right.
you know, habit forming, and you know, it'll wake you up. You know, it'll definitely, you know, it's spicy. You don't probably want to take it recreationally, but but you know, when you're in need, it's the best thing you can grab. When you're congested, it's the worst when you get the waterworks coming down. I had that kind of creeping up on me, and so I was doing a couple of sprays in each nostril every day, and you know, I didn't get full blown sick. I was able to keep working. And we have a lot of people that just on the reviews, it's amazing the testimonials of some people that some of you out there probably listening have struggled with sinus issues for many years, and you've tried many different
That's
things.
me.
Yes.
And we're
Yeah.
usually the last product that people try. So,
Well, we always remind people nutrition should be the first thing you go to. Nature's pharmacy should always be the first. Then if you need, pharmaceuticals, they're there. But this is a great place to start. So I wanted to show, this is a great spray, one of my favorite. For years, we spray this around the store at the end of the night. It clears the air. When I travel, if I go on business trips or whatever, I take this, I spray the doorknobs in the hotels, I spray down everything. Whatever I'm going to touch, I spray that. It's a wonderful, wonderful product, very easy to carry with you. It's a little spicy. Remember, oregano's spicy. It'll, like Stephen said, it'll wake you up. So, but we've always, and it's interesting, over the last 3 years when we went through all that and everybody was talking about sanitation and wiping, we've always cleaned our stuff at the store. I mean, nightly. You got people touching stuff. We've always, 33 years in business, we wipe stuff down. It was surprising to me how many people just didn't know to do that. But at any rate, this is can be a hand sanitizer. You can mist it around in the air.
It can be a veggie wash.
Yes.
yes,
Wash
I
your
was gonna get to
veggies.
that.
Yeah.
Multiple purpose. I have deodorized my shoes. I have sprayed my cat box. I have, in the wintertime, you got that hot heat blowing. Spray the vents, spray your air filter, spray your pillow. And of course, when you're traveling, absolutely. And, I sprayed my room and things because I didn't want anybody to get sick, when I was fighting this.
Right.
And spray your hands. You go in the store, they used to have us wear the mask, but like, what about our hands? Everybody's touching everything, like you said.
Right.
And we had a lot of health food store staff that actually used this. It's called fumigation. It's an old technique where you put spice oils in the air and they help to cleanse and just make sure that you're not catching anything around you. They
Right.
have been doing that since the Black Plague in Europe. You can find Martin Luther actually in the Reformation. So they'd have these little pockets of Black Plague that would come back once in a while, certain years. And even in Martin Luther's time, they had the plague. And they were actually encouraging him not to go and go to people's doors and preach
Right.
the word. And he was quoted as saying, "I will take the proper fumigation techniques and cautions, but I'm still going to go out there and tell people and knock on their doors."
Mhm.
So
So that's what diffusing is now. Everybody that's diffusing all these oils.
exactly, yes, that's a
Right.
good example. It's the
Yeah.
modern day diffusing. Yes.
Okay, so another product I brought, I wanted to go over Arega Resp. This is a wonderful product. Anybody dealing, it's very powerful respiratory support. And of course, over the last few years, we know a lot of people need respiratory support. What do you want to tell us about this product? There's other oils in there.
Well, one capsule is like 50 drops of oregano. And that potency is there because there's no olive oil carrier. So you'll see that it's a multiple spice extract. It's got cumin, some of the most powerful spices we've ever
Yes,
tested: cumin, sage, oregano, of course, ginger, and cinnamon. And so if you've got something here and you're hacking up a lung and you can't breathe hardly, and you just, you're coughing up this terrible mucus, and you get the picture. Um, if you've got like mold situation, which is extremely
yes,
difficult to rid out, there's so many different respiratory situations that we can go over. The itis, the inflammation that's there in the chest. Recovering smoker, you know what? That's good too because it helps your oxygenation. This is something you can take, 1, 2 capsules twice a day. It was
start with
certainly
one. Always start low, work
start
up.
with one. And if you're working on something, talk with Claudia, talk with others, and get a little protocol put together. I like to pair that up with the juice of oregano, but oregano itself is a respirator. Cumin as well helps with bronchial restriction. Ginger is going to work on things like inflammation. So it's a
Yes.
very interesting formula that we put together.
Yeah. And so I would encourage anybody, considering respiratory health, this is a great product to consider. So I wanted to bring, over the year, I'm a big fan of vitamin C. We've, been in the industry almost 50 years. I mean, anyone that's been in it as long as I have, we've all seen and learned the benefits of vitamin C. But over the years, I have been more going to the food-based vitamin C's, and this is really a wonderful product. This is actually Camu Camu,
Yeah.
which is, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, because when I came to the company, I didn't know what Camu Camu is.
A lot of
Every
people
time
don't.
somebody comes to work for us, they don't know what it is. So maybe you've never heard of it, but it's a berry that grows in Peru. They
Yes,
really just discovered it worldwide in the late 1800s when you started having explorers go down there. Now it's available commercially. It grows
yes,
wild on shrubs near the Amazon River. It's this orange kind of small berry that has about the highest amount of vitamin C per gram you're going to
yes,
find of all fruits. And so we freeze dry it, keep it raw. You got the entire C complex in there, the whole thing. Those cofactors are really needed to get the full effect of vitamin C. So it's just amazing stuff, and I believe it is the best form of vitamin C. You can probably, it absorbs very well in the body.
yes. It's a lot of people get very good results because my understanding is from people that work in the industry on the raw material side that most of the ascorbic acid in this country is coming from fermented corn. And
Yes.
that's not my thing, especially when they started genetically playing with it.
Hmm.
So over the years, I'm a fan of food-based vitamin C. I do want to say one thing about food-based. When you look at the label of a food-based supplement, and this vitamin C is a good example, when you're taking regular ascorbic acid in capsules, usually it's 500 milligram, 1,000 milligram per cap. But
Yeah.
when you look at this label, what does it say here? In 3 capsules, you are getting 150
Milligrams.
milligrams of vitamin C. So it's a lower amount, but the philosophy is because it's derived from food, it has it's more bioavailable. The body recognizes it, uptakes it, and
Yes.
really utilizes it in a very proper way. So I am a fan of food-based vitamin C, and I have to say I love this product. It's,
Yeah.
we also have Camu Camu in powder form for people that are making smoothies or juicing. You can do it that way also. But I juiced for a gazillion years. I At this point in my life, I'll take it in a capsule.
I do want to say something. They took vitamin C and put it under a microscope, an electron microscope from real food, and they did the same thing with ascorbic acid. And the difference couldn't be any more contrasted. I'll start with the ascorbic acid. It
Yes.
looks like a piece of mold. It's
Yeah.
purplish, kind of black, very dark. Kind of looks like what mold would look like, and it really does. And then the other one, the food based, like from Camu, I think it was acerola cherry, which actually they used. It looks like a mini sun. It's bright yellow. It looks like it's full of energy and life.
Yes.
And the other one kind of dead. So
Yeah.
that is the difference between nature, soil, sunshine, rain,
Yes.
and laboratory. And man, I know we try so hard, but we just can't replicate what nature has done for
Yeah.
us.
Humans will never replicate what nature and God have given us. It's they can try all they want. And it's funny you use that as an example because this was many years ago, back when we had the NNFA conferences. So we're going back 30 some years. And I forget who it was, but at a class there was a researcher and he used that exact example. And that was 30 some years ago. And I always remembered that whole food vitamin C, when you look at the molecule, it looks like the sun. It's quite beautiful.
Hmm.
So it's a great product. So okay, last one I brought because it's a huge line. This particular one, I brought the Stephen. I brought the Inflames Ease
Yeah.
because a lot of people get very, very good results with this. It has bromelain in it, and what else does it have in it?
Well, it has the enzymes, the bromelain from the pineapple core, the papain from
Yes,
papaya. It also has turmeric in there and ginger, so you've got your inflammation components, and
Camu.
camu's
and
in
your
there.
vitamin C to help absorb. And vitamin C works on inflammation, by the way, too. There's a lot of
Yes.
uses for vitamin C recovery, and so the idea of taking the enzymes together with the inflammation components
Hmm.
is fantastic. The enzymes themselves, like bromelain, are also naturally inflammation supporting.
Yes.
And a lot of people struggle with digestion and metabolism, and that's where the enzymes come in because they speed up chemical reactions within the body. They bond with these kind of fragmented cells and other enzymes that aren't working properly, and then they start pushing them and making them work. And it's great in the morning if you have digestion issues, pain in your stomach, or really just pain anywhere.
Right.
I like to use that and maybe a topical, like put some oregano oil topically and then take some of the inflammies internally.
Yeah. So
What
it's a.
does it mean when it says P73 tested?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. Very good question. Go ahead, Stephen.
So we have a thing, it's like a triple testing thing that we do. So every raw material that we get, we have a supplier that we vet, but we make sure that anything they send us, they test. And this is for heavy metals, mycotoxins, like mold, any kind of contaminant they test for. And so they'll come back and it'll say, everything's good, no contaminants. Then we send it out to a third party lab nearby where we are. They test, and then we have our own quality control team here with laboratory equipment that we test. So we call that P73 tested, which essentially is triple tested. And so we really want to make sure that it's clean and it's pure before it
Yeah.
goes to your body.
And I'm glad you asked that question and that we're talking about it because again, our industry has always been highly ridiculed by a lot of people that don't understand nutrition, don't want to understand nutrition, and have no financial interest in understanding nutrition. And we've always, it's always been that we don't have quality testing. The companies that are doing things responsibly, and there are many in our industry, this is one of them, they are doing extreme quality testing. And I'm grateful for that and proud to say that we have incredible companies in our industry that are doing things right. So it's a very cool thing. I wanted to show the book. This is a great book, and God bless Dr. Ingram, who's no longer with us. Anyone that knows this company, and he's been the leading educator for many, many years, 30 years, right?
Yeah.
He's
If it
been with
wasn't for
the.
him, I don't think we'd be here, talking about
Exactly.
what we're talking about today. He
Yep.
really he came to both of us and
Yeah, so
so
this
on.
is a wonderful book. The Cure is The Cure is in the Cupboard. The Cure
Yeah,
is in the Cupboard.
that's his big
Wonderful
one.
book. Many people, will come back and say, "Man, this is, it's filled with so much information." And the more information people have, the more tools they have for their own health. So it's all about knowledge.
Really.
So in closing, let's reiterate why oregano oil is so important. Tell us the properties and the gifts again that it's giving to the immune system.
Yeah,
3 of them.
absolutely. So it is, of course, the rosmarinic acid, the carvacrol, which is the highest found in anything else in nature. Carvacrol, by the way, is extremely, extremely aggressive. They have found it to be an escharotic agent, meaning that it just slices through things, it punctures through tissues. And that's good when you've got you think of warfare that's going on in your body. So you want something aggressive when you're fighting something off. You want to support that military. It
So
also
that's the antibacterial activity.
Yes, bacterial.
Yes,
You've also got the
antibacterial.
fungal, and you mentioned that it's the root cause of everything. Fungal has been associated with things like cancer. It's been associated with sinus
Many
infection,
years ago,
respiratory
yes.
infection, ear infection, all the things we're getting right now.
Yeah.
And, cough, dry cough, it's all fungus, candida, and so on. And oregano is well suited. It was almost like it was created to support, to work on fungal activity. Virus. There's a reason why our sales have gone up dramatically since the pandemic. I'll just leave it at that.
Yep.
People are getting results and they're looking into oregano to support their situation. So you've got the trifecta: fungus, virus, bacteria.
Exactly.
You've got the inflammation support, very powerful inflammation support. You've got the antioxidants, which protect the organs and preserve them. Even if they've been damaged, that's what the studies show. You can have recovery. You know how they say the doctor scares you. You got 9% kidney activity. We need to replace it. We need to
Right.
get rid of your gallbladder. We need to get rid of this and that. Why don't you just try to take something high in antioxidants, get off the bad foods, and see what that does?
Yes. Yes.
So
Allow your
oregano
body to rejuvenate.
it's
Absolutely.
wonderful for the respiratory support, hence the Oregarest. It's wonderful for your sinus support, Sinuorega, and you can use it for the skin. There's some creams that Claudia carries for that.
Liquids. We have
use
the
it.
juice, and we have it's a full line of a lot of great products. But I thought we'd start there. And our dear friend Sally Bird, that we talked to from Silver Biotics.
Yes.
She said this morning saw that we were going to interview Stephen, and she said, "That's terrific, and remind everybody the purified silver and the oregano work beautifully as a team, and they truly do. It's a great team for good health." So
Absolutely. Yep. And get your vitamins up. Get that real vitamin C as well.
yes, absolutely.
Well, Stephen, we appreciate you joining us. It was great information as always, Claudia. You guys always deliver, and we just thank you. Is there anything else you want to mention before we let you go?
Just take care of yourself. This is a time where everybody's vulnerable. Have a game plan. Don't wing it. Go see Claudia. Thanks for your attention and your time.
Thank you, Stephen. Much love to you.
You're
Thank
awesome.
you.
All right. We just got a question from Michelle. This is wonderful. Thank you so much for this valuable information. I've been using this product line for quite a few years now, yet I didn't know of some of the products featured today. You all are wonderful, and I appreciate your knowledge. Love you, Claudia.
Love you too.
Stephanie, thanks for all the great information.
Nice.
So
Thank you guys for tuning in.
All right. I get amazed. I shouldn't be, but I just get amazed at all the wonderful products that you guys carry at your store. And of course, everything back and front. Can I give a quick update on my journey that you started me on back in October?
Yep.
So I started eating to my blood type and I saw improvement. You've got me on different supplements that I wasn't on before, like the mushrooms and
probiotics.
And some CBD stuff. And I told you last week that I don't take the Ritalin anymore because my focus, for whatever reason, I'm able to focus. I'm so proud
of you.
I was on Ritalin for
this is a big deal,
nearly
Denny.
30 years. And I'm like, I don't miss it. It's gone. And now here's an update. I was on the whatever the generic is for Celebrex for my arthritis,
Yeah.
I'm off it.
Right.
And that's why I'm encouraged about
You want to try
inflammation.
that?
I don't know. I mean, since I've changed my diet and I'm eating different, in this time of the year when it's cold, your joints hurt. It's just the way it is. It's much worse. I'd be curious to try that and the sinus, because my
There you go.
sinuses, they're always giving me trouble.
Yeah.
And I'm at the lowest weight that I've been at since 2015.
That's amazing.
I'm down to 208. I haven't been under 210 since 7 years, 8 years. And I want to say this to people that might be, because people get not necessarily sad, but they're not really happy when they're on a new journey when it comes to eating. Oh, I'm on a diet. I'm on a diet and I can't eat this and I can't go that.
Right.
When they say, well, how's your diet going? I'm like, I'm not on a diet. Well, wait a minute. I thought you were on a diet. I said, no, I just changed what I eat.
You're on a lifestyle journey.
I'm in a lifestyle change.
Right.
And I don't get sad about it. I get sad about it because I'm discovering new things
Right.
that are so delicious. And I've been doing it now for weeks. So I don't miss a lot of the junk that I ate before. I don't have cravings. I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky.
No,
I don't know. But like last night, I stir fried up some chicken and veggies, a little soy sauce, and it was so satisfying and it was so good. It's like I had salmon earlier this week, which I absolutely love, and a little olive oil. And I just find that, my wife's not real happy because we're not going out to eat as much. She's like, can we go out to eat at least once this weekend? Of course, dear. But for the most part, I like to stay home. I'm cooking more.
Right.
And it's just been amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, listen, as I always say, it's the partnership.
Yeah.
We are here to guide. You're doing the work. You've made the commitment. You put your heart into it. And that's why we always tell everybody, even if you have a loved one that you want them to change, people have to do it for themselves. It has to come from our heart. You've embraced it. You're willing to walk the journey every day. And what's amazing, because it's a great testimony you just gave, because we've seen this over and over and over the years. We've always said, when you start bringing up the flora and you're nourishing your body that's where the supplements come in. That's the support. That's what millions of people truly are missing. So you have people that, they might change their diet and they're eating more greens and whatever. But if they don't have the supplements, they're still dealing with all the critters that are making them crave all the junk.
Right.
You're changing your inner world. You're changing your microbiome by everything we're doing. You're bringing up more of the good guys. So the bad guys are having less of, we're diminishing their power. And that's where the cravings literally start diminishing. And we know this very clearly through this research that's been done over the years, showing the very powerful connection between the gut and the brain. So again, I always talk about mental health because it's a big topic in this country. But if somebody's not talking about changing the diet to help mental health, they're not even in the conversation for me, because it all starts in the gut. So I always say the brain, the immune system, the endocrine system starts in the gut. You're changing what you're putting in. You're bringing up the good guys. And you're seeing the results.
And I feel so much better mentally
really proud
too,
of you.
especially. Thank you. All right. Next week, what do we got next Friday?
So next week we're going to talk. I figured we would continue talking about other products to help the body balance a fungal overgrowth, because again, I've said it for years, I think fungus is epidemic in the United States. I don't know how it couldn't be. People have been low flora, high sugar and junk for decades. So it's become this, I always say we all start as a snowball and we end up as an avalanche. So we're teaching people, how do you change that? So we're going to continue the conversation next week, you and I.
Good.
About,
I look forward to that
supporting
too.
that.
All right. Like always, I'm giving you the last word, Claudia.
Always, thank you. Anyway, support yourselves, support your loved ones. Food is a beautiful thing. Even if you just start very simple and you start going back to more whole God-given food and reducing what you're eating as fast industrial food, that is a huge step in the right direction. and, supporting ourselves, supporting our loved ones. And I will always be a fan and encourage people, support your local businesses. Find a little health food store in your neck of the woods. They're everywhere around the United States. A lot of the big stores aren't necessarily following all the philosophy. The little stores, we've been the beginning of the industry. So find them in your neck of the woods and learn, educate, nourish, and that's what helps improve everybody's health and ultimately their life. So keep the faith, shine your light, share your love. Peace.